So we're here today to have a difficult conversation, at least for many of us. See, gaming and entertainment have become inextricably linked at this point in time. I don't think there's anything to debate about that. It's actually quite incestuous, and it's likely to get even more so as these companies try to combine in various ways. As such, we need to talk about the combined future of both of these things and how they're coming together. So, to that end, here we go. Well, here we are on Tech Tuesday, a day that we normally focus solidly on tech. And sometimes we add in a little entertainment, especially for today's topic, which is tech and entertainment becoming one thing. You see, tech has a lot of successes in its history, especially recently, and it has failures all the time, but so does entertainment. In fact, I would say they have more failures more often. In fact, we've seen a string of those recently at the box office, but let's set that aside and move forward. So with these two sectors of entertainment becoming increasingly intertwined, and that's the term that I'm going to use here, we are likely to see them morph into a single entity. And that's unfortunately the future. And the only thing that would prevent this in the future, of course, would be the governments around the world deciding to, for some reason, enforce the antitrust laws that are on the books globally, which they've been ignoring for years and years and years and years now, to, well, everybody's detriment. With this, for lack of a better word to describe it, unification, we are actually seeing a nascent emerging technologies being pushed forward and advanced well before they're fully cooked. This is happening all over the place. In fact, the primary example we'll use to start with is going to be Stadia. You see, Stadia was a project to bring the streaming gaming into the mainstream, deliver it to the masses, and with all of the superpowers of Google, well, and the bigger company Alphabet. Didn't work, it wasn't going to work, and as predicted, the project failed spectacularly. It just couldn't deliver a consistent, sustained experience that is required for such endeavors. In fact, you could have the best possible internet communication and connection, and it still didn't work. And this failure by Google in this space really hasn't stalled anything. It hasn't stopped any of the speculation about the market or the projections for the future of cloud gaming. There are successful cloud gaming services out there, and there are some also-rans. There are many established players that pretty much have a firm foot in the door and probably will end up being, the entities that succeed, because cloud gaming services are, well, being leveraged by a lot of gaming console companies, and that seems to work just fine. And once PlayStation figured out that the customers needed to download the games and not just play them via streaming, things got a lot better for them as well. So you're looking at over 25 million folks with the Xbox, pass, and you have 3 or 4 million or so of the Sony folk. They're streaming. But that brings us to the other side of the equation, right? The technology in gaming advancing. So we're going to be looking at VR, AR, and a combination of both of those things, because there are such entities out there, or things being developed like that. And regardless of the success of Meta Platforms' metaverse, there's no denying that a long-term investment in unification of gaming, music, and video is being made. And it's all being done in pursuit of this immersive reality concept, which is hard to do. As hollow as some environments in this space feel, and believe me, some of them feel empty, they're getting better. And they're getting better at removing the uncanny valley situation that a lot of moviegoers struggle with when they're looking at CGI characters. And of course, that's always going to pull you out of your experience in what might actually be somewhat immersive. So it usually comes down to, something that simple. At the same time, despite Meta positioning itself to monopolize the space, this early leadership into a new technology, it seldom pays off. because if you look at the history of the people who immediately jumped into things, well, it didn't go well. You have HD DVD versus Blu-ray. That's pretty recent, and we all know how that turned. And if you go back even farther into my era, it was Betamax versus VHS. Sometimes you can be a leader and still lose. Now we have to look at the actual expense, because that can often be a deciding factor in customer adoption rates, etc., etc. But that's not always the case. Facebook Meta, which doesn't have a very expensive entry product, well, they haven't exactly endeared themselves to their end users, at least not in the last few generations. And even now, younger customers are moving away from their, well, somewhat relevant platform that's fading every day, Instagram. You also have other large tech players, whatever you want to call them, but other entities that actually take exception to what Zuckerberg is trying to make a foregone conclusion, because obviously he wants to be the monopoly, and be very hard to do, but that's what he wants to do with Meta, so much so that he changed the name of the company. They actually don't believe that the metaverse is going to be a all-in-one, one-for-one replacement for the world around us now, or even the user directly in that case. In fact, Tim Cook over at Apple recently stated that there's really no set understanding of what the metaverse will actually be. I think that's pretty wise, because I don't think you can plan for what you think something will become. I mean, just look at what happened with the internet and the 1,000 different ways that changed everything that nobody really predicted. It went from being a very advanced version of a fax machine to something broader and bigger and far more advanced. And you're watching me on the internet. According to experts, the entertainment space as a whole is going to be worth about $600 billion in 2026. It's going to grow substantially. Gaming's going to double in size. So if you look at that and the fact that advertising, digital advertising in particular, will be worth about $1 trillion, and that is it with a T, we're only going to see more and more money thrown at this, and at you and me trying to sell it. You see, immersing people inside of this future bubble will be a financial windfall. Now, that's only if, obviously, adoption rate improves, which means the younger generations are going to be targeted even more heavily with this type of tech. And all of this is coming at a time when people, including young people, are loath to be stuck indoors, because that's happened to them for a long period of time. And they're tired of being at the mercy of their technology that even extends into their vacation time. I mean, just look at what Disney makes you do on all the hoops you've got to jump through to just have a theme park visit. Stupid. Anyway, that doesn't mean we won't be experiencing movies or music or other media in the same form as we do now. While it'll still be out there and you'll still be able to do it, I suspect there could be a complete evolution, if not a revolution, in the way you're presented pretty much everything. One of the ways that we could go about this is that we would put you in the middle of the events of a film with no interaction other than, to look around the world around you as it's being presented in real time during the course of this cinematic story. Of course, the other way it could be delivered is that you are actually living as a character in this open world game simulation, very similar to let me remember now. The Matrix. That's right, sounds familiar. Suffice it to say, we are moving forward into this unification state of pretty much all entertainment, which will work out well for all of the megacorps out there and work out rather poorly for the rest of us, which isn't a happy thought at all. But hey, what do you think? What do you think about this entertainment future that they're trying to have us adopt, and they're working very aggressively toward its rollout? Are we headed for a fully virtual existence? That would be the first question. Do any of you see this as a good thing? And is this a trend that will be reversed at some point? And if you have any other thoughts, please utilize the comment section down below, because I think this is a good conversation to have, especially between generations. So you've got the older folks like myself, 50 and older, and you have the folks all the way down to 18 that I think are going to be the ones that are going to be targeted going forward, at least for the early adoption of the rest of this stuff. A few more questions come to mind, like how much are you willing to pay to get completely lost in a one-for-one world? I don't know if that's really what people are looking for. How much would you pay to get lost in a completely different world? Something akin to maybe Star Trek or Star Wars or something similar. Good question. Anyway, comment section down below. We'll interact and hopefully come up with something. But anyway, in that regard, be sure to support other independent creators out there. Hopefully they're asking similar questions when it comes to some of these issues in the world around us as we continue to change very quickly and maybe leave our souls behind when we move forward with technology at the breakneck pace we've been going. Seems like that may be true. Less humanity in humanity. But of course, support them. Make sure you hit the like, share, subscribe, all of the things, right? Most specifically, engagement. So if you can make a comment anywhere on any video or even in the comments box in the community tab for any of these creators, I guarantee you that they will appreciate it, just as I do. With that, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it is good hygiene. Should be doing it. Should have been doing it your whole life, really. And until next time, bye. Quick note, I do in the description have all of the links to the articles you can peruse yourself, and you can dive down the same digital rabbit hole that I did. There's a lot more out there, and it's a subject worth studying. So, you know, feel free to dive in. That'll also help us have a conversation about this. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.